Do you believe President Obama is a Christian?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That was unequivocal.
Okay, so we asked this question because, as you are probably aware, there was a poll that came out recently that found that actually quite a number of people, and 1 in 5 actually, were not sure about the president and his religion. Now, this answer is, you know, obviously they are well versed about the president, but had they wanted to really make a play for that right of center, far right vote, they could have answered differently here.
Well, but you also have a president who has over 50% popular approval in the state they're running in. They're not running in Arkansas. They're not running in Mississippi. They're running in New York. So I think they answered this wisely, especially since it is a fact that the President of the United States is a Christian. Not that that would matter if he wasn't, because we believe in freedom of religion, but he is a practicing Christian who is a regular churchgoer. So had they jumped on this, they would have played to a very narrow part of the base and not to their own you know, mainline Protestant base that is the heart, as well as the Catholic that is the heart of the Republican Party in this state.
Brendan, if they had answered this question differently, would it have made a big difference?
It may have hurt them. It may not have helped them, following what Bruce is saying, that they're not running against President Obama. They're running against Chuck Schumer. They need to define themselves against Chuck Schumer, not against President Obama. If I was Chuck Schumer and they took the bait and went after that and were defining themselves and going after the president, I'd be very happy, because they're not even talking about Chuck Schumer then.
Right. Well, interestingly, we did ask Chuck Schumer if he was going to watch this debate, and he said he didn't really plan to, but maybe he was going to TiVo it and watch it later. Let's move on to the three-way debate now for the 3 Republicans who are vying for the right to take on Kirsten Gillibrand. This was another one of those questions that we asked because we thought maybe we would see exactly how they were going to be falling on trying to whip up that conservative base. Let's take a listen.
Creationism be taught in public schools?
No. I'm sorry to think about that. In the context of a political culture class, creationism should be taught because it's something that's going on around the country.
But your answer is no.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Spoken like a true politician.
Yes or no?
You say creationism should not be taught in public schools. Okay. Mr. DeGuardi.
No.
And Mr. Blakeman.
I'm for a free exchange of thought. Sure.
Okay, so that was interesting because we saw what really had come out through that debate, which is that David Malpass did a lot of deep thinking during the debate, and a lot of people thought he distinguished himself at least as a serious guy. I'm not so necessarily certain that he distinguished himself as an attacker, but Brendan, what was your thought when you watched that clip?
David's a serious man with extensive experience in education, and you've watched him on the campaign trail. He's addressed some serious issues, and you look at this. Again, he didn't pivot off of that to go into the difference between him and Gillibrand or him and his opponents in any way. And I think both this debate and the debate the night before, I think each candidate missed opportunities to try to set themselves apart.
Yeah, that was the biggest criticism of the candidates in both of these debates. Bruce?
Well, creationism is one of those issues where it doesn't help the Republican candidate get to where they need to go to be viable in November, which is to that middle corridor of moderate independent voters who are interested in jobs and the economy. What are you going to do to help me with my taxes, get a job, my child get to college? Creationism to them seems a needless diversion. It almost reminds me that Republicans are now going through this gauntlet they're being put through on social issues that Democrats went through in the McGovern era, and it really hurt the Democrats to have to answer those questions on acid amnesty and abortion.
Right.
And now you see them the Republicans being asked questions on the president's religion and creationism, and it doesn't help them get to what their strength would be.
Yeah, well,
Doesn't
they
bother
first-
me, but
Of course,
I
as a
understand
Democrat.
it's a kind of some consternation to Brendan.
Well, and also, in addition, they first have to win a Republican
Right.
primary, which tends to draw out the true believers of a party.
But I am not certain that the Republican Party in New York is as far right
Good point.
as the national Republican Party has become, and as you see people like Rand Paul in Kentucky and Angle in Nevada, I think while I think the Republican Party is conservative at the base, it's a fiscal conservatism, it's a free market conservatism, it's not a social conservatism.
Now, this next clip is going to be interesting. I'm going to be very interested to see what Brendan has to say about it. It has to do with the leadership of the Republican Party, which is something that we've been talking about a lot for, well, really since the convention. Let's see this one.
Has Ed Cox been a good chairman for the state GOP?
No.
Mr. DioGuardi?
He didn't do right by me at the convention. I had to go to the people to get my signatures. I'd say no.
Mr. Blakeman?
No.
Okay.
Okay, indeed. What do you think about that, Brendan? You used to be the executive director of the state GOP some time ago. Thoughts on that?
Well, you got all candidates agreeing on one topic that night. That may be your first for that night. But forgetting Ed Cox personally, the job of state chairman is very tough. You never make everyone happy, and there's always people that are going to be complaining about different things. And the proof in the pudding, you'll see what happens come November, whether or not he has victories to be able to claim and can say he did a good job or a bad job. Because right now, you don't have anything to measure him against without those victories.
But you weren't even surprised to see Blakeman answer that way? I mean, Bruce Blakeman is the designee of the Republican Party, which means that the chairman is supporting him, at least in theory.
At this stage in my career and life, I guess it's going to take a lot more than that to surprise me.
Okay, so this last one is really a great place to end. I think I was personally very surprised by this particular clip. And I think that there's been a lot of discussion about it now, and lots of people think it was pretty much of a gaffe. Let's take a listen to this one.
Good people. I think Kirsten Gillibrand is a attractive woman. I think she's bright, and I think she's probably a good mom herself. But if you want me to elaborate more, I'll go into the areas where I disagree with Senator Gillibrand. Senator Gillibrand has voted against New York
Actually, I'm
time
sorry.
and time again.
That's not the question.
Okay. We'll get
Thanks.
to that, hopefully.
Good. She's an attractive woman.
She's an attractive, bright woman who I believe is a good mom.
Okay, thank you. Mr. DioGuardi?
How do you know so much about it?
Okay, well, obviously that was my question. The question was, in case viewers weren't watching the debates, please say one nice thing about each of your opponents and then say one nice thing about Kirsten Gillibrand. It reminded me of that Biden gaffe a little bit during the presidential when he said that President Obama was or at the time, candidate Obama was well-spoken and clean or something along those lines. Articulate,
yeah.
That's right. That's what it was.
Now I know why Bruce Blakeman did not run a good race for controller when he ran against Carl McCall. He can't count. The majority of the electorate in New York is women. A majority of that majority are now college graduates. To speak of it in that way trivialized him, could have been interpreted. I'd be interested in your interpretation as a woman. It would have been like, what are you talking about? Why is her being attractive or unattractive relevant to, if he said, I think she's doing a great job balancing her responsibilities as a mother with her Senate responsibilities, and she, that would have been a nice kind of wholesome thing to say. I think what you're really seeing in Blakeman's answer on creationism, where he said it should be taught in the schools, this gaffe are not ready for primetime players on the Republican side, with the exception of Malpass, who I think is a thoughtful economic thinker and has thought a lot about public policy. But I think Blakeman revealed himself to be a not ready for primetime player in this.
All right, last word to you, Brendan. What did you think about that one?
I think it was an unusual answer. Again, going back to what we've talked about this evening, with jobs, economy, taxes being the most important things out there, that candidates should be trained to be able to pivot to talk about the issues that are important to them and then important to the voters. And I would have followed along what Bruce said, that it's very tough juggling her job being a parent and being the senator, but her job as senator I have problems with, and her voting records. And again, look for that opportunity to set yourself apart, and they didn't do that.
How badly did he hurt himself with that, if badly at all?
Well, with some Republican voters, he may have helped himself. With women, he definitely hurt them.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much, both of you, Bruce Jory and also Brendan Quinn, for joining me this evening to do a little post-debate wrap-up. I really appreciate it.